Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, ladies and gentlemen. You know, I am eternally grateful to all of you out there in the Maldives and in the rest of the world, even if for this little reason. Thank you for tolerating me in your sitting rooms. Thank you for tolerating me on your mobile phones. Thank you for sharing a little bit of your life with me. I'm eternally grateful to you because sometimes on this program, I just talk. The idea here is witness with Wahid what I think and what my guest thinks life should be or life can be. It's as simple as that. Nothing too professional, nothing too concrete. We just talk and share our ideas with you. I have with me somebody that you've already met on this program, our friend, our brother, Arnoud van Naton. I will continue to call you Arnoud, sir, and you do not need any more introduction because you've been on my program once before, and I'm sure the audience has gone through what you went through in life. A little bit of that, and to share your life it'll take so much, but tonight what I have for you would be a subject that I'm even scared to mention, but sometimes, you know, one needs to deal with this.
Yes.
And this is the concept of Islamophobia in your country,
Yes.
in Europe, and in the rest of the world. Now, sometimes in my program I do this, and I borrow this from something that happened in Nice a long time ago. And I take this from Christian history, the concept of the devil's advocate. So some things I say on this program might in the beginning ruffle your feathers a little bit. Keep in mind that this is all with a good purpose, and let God help us in this. We'll ask for his guidance.
Nature.
Now, the concept of Islamophobia. Let me start with that kind of question. When I translate that concept, Islamophobia, of course, Islam being Islam, therefore it doesn't need a definition, except it basically means a surrender to yourself, a surrender of yourself to God, and you know, what he has in store for us. Phobia, when I look at that word, that's fear.
Yes.
But sometimes what I see is fear also having a result, that of hate.
Yes.
And therefore, I again think to myself, and excuse me for talking too much here, but the idea is, okay, here's a bunch of human beings, rational thinking human beings. Surely they got brains, surely they got a lot of processing power up there.
Most of them.
Most of them, right? A lot of people in your part of the world would have had, you know, access to some form of schooling.
Yes.
Never mind what happens according to the law vis-a-vis that plus 16 thing, for example, in countries like the UK. That's an entirely different can of worms.
Yes.
But let's do it this way. Here are people, relatively well educated, very literate, who are afraid of something. They must have reasons for it. Reasons that they think are actually sane and logical. Your take on that, sir?
Well, reason is something that is hard to find anymore in Western countries. What I think, and that's only my personal opinion, and the opinion of some other people also within our community, is the fact that Islam is growing rapidly. Not only in Western Europe, but also in other countries. And more people are interested in Islam, and more people see the beauty of Islam. And that is considered a threat for a lot of people. And I think one of the issues is the Zionist agenda, and it really exists. And that is to create fear for Islam, to make sure that Islam is not united, that they are divided, that there is struggle amongst different groups and cultures within Islam. And well, this is happening for, I don't know, for hundreds of years already. But today, the Islam is, despite all these efforts and all this hate and all this anti-Islam propaganda, Islam is still growing. And I think this is a threat for a lot of people because they think, and that is because of, I told you that before, because of the media information and what people learn at school and what you see in the newspapers, that Islam is a dangerous religion. And that is one thing. They don't want young people to become a Muslim, and they don't want Muslims to be a Muslim in the way Islam prescribes it. So the Western society is trying to, that's a hidden agenda, is trying to create a Western Islam, a liberal Islam, which doesn't exist, of course, because there's only one Islam. And they are trying to teach people, especially young people, that Islam is okay, but you don't have to pray 5 times a day. You don't have to read the Quran. You don't have to use clothes, you know, or hijab. That is part of Islam. And they try to assimilate Muslims in Western society instead of integrate them in Western society. Mm-hmm. But this is not working.
So there is no watered-down version of Islam, is there?
There's only one version of the Islam.
Mm-hmm.
It's the version of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the Prophet, peace be upon him, and the Sunnah, and that's it. And you cannot change Islam, you cannot rewrite the Quran. Some politicians say we have to rewrite the Quran.
Mm-hmm.
It's ridiculous, of course. There are no innovations within
So
Islam.
there is no revised standard version or the King James version of the Quran, is there?
Well, they are trying. Well, what they actually did in the Netherlands, they wrote a Quran, so-called Gold Quran, in Dutch for young children, completely different than the original Quran. They make like a Quran light version or a Western Quran. It's ridiculous. And that is the way how they try to brainwash especially the young generation. And also the third and second generation immigrants. But that is not working. Islam is still growing.
I like that comparison, like it's a bit like a Bud Light, you know. You have a Quran Light.
Yes.
They
yes.
actually have this.
They actually have this, but this is something we're making jokes about it now. But it's a serious subject, of course.
It is.
And it's a serious threat for Islam. And
so, ladies and gentlemen, if you ever see a watered-down version of the Quran or anything that's been changed even in the slightest little bit,
throw it away.
Throw it away. Exactly.
Exactly. But this is happening. This is happening, and I'm not saying that we don't make mistakes. Of course, we make mistakes. The Ummah is not like the perfect community, not worldwide, and also not in the Netherlands. We make mistakes, and some of our young generation, they also make mistakes, and we shouldn't say Islam is the Muslims are all perfect human beings. Of course not. Islam is perfect.
So one of the reasons
Muslims
you said is growth.
Yes.
But isn't that like saying there's an amount of jealousy involved somewhere?
Probably. Probably, because they see that Muslims are much stronger persons. They are most of the time they're happier.
Stronger in what way?
Stronger in the way they how do you explain this? How they face injustice, how they face things that are not going well, because they have the trust in Islam, the trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Exactly.
And that gives them a strength, inner strength.
Tawakkaltu ala Allah, that kind of thing.
Yes, exactly. And people see that and they don't understand it. For example, before I became a Muslim, I had a beautiful job, I had my own company, I made a lot of money, beautiful house, beautiful cars, everything. I felt something was missing.
Okay.
I felt something was, I felt empty and lonely sometimes. And then what are you going to do? You buy another car or a beautiful TV, but that's only material. When you know deep inside, somewhere deep inside, that you are missing something, and you see the Muslim population and the Muslim community,
they do not need external stimulation for quote-unquote happiness.
Exactly.
So that's one of the reasons.
And that's one of the reasons. And I think it's considered a threat because they are also starting to organize themselves.
Okay.
They are no longer the simple first-generation immigrants from the mountains from Turkey and Morocco. No, because they are educated and they are part of society. And some of them have really big businesses, and they are starting to gain influence in society. And they're calling up to the young people, stand up for your rights. Don't let them bully you. You have rights, you have obligations, but you also have rights, and that's the right to get united. It's the right to organize debates and conferences. It's the right to build mosques.
So when you, basically what happens is, when you have a population, probably immigrant,
Yes.
who are perceived to be growing faster than you are,
Yes.
people who seem to be stronger,
Yes.
despite lack of opportunity or even resources,
Exactly.
or wealth.
Or wealth.
And
Definitely.
when you see these people and how resilient they are, you first are afraid of them,
Yes.
and then you start to hate them. Is that what happened?
I'm not sure if people really hate Muslims. Maybe some of them, but they despise them.
Okay.
They think it's wrong. It's evil. It's bad because they think it's threatening our freedom. And then I think, what freedom? What freedom do you have? The freedom to buy a new car, freedom to, buy anything beautiful, the freedom to go to some luxurious cruise somewhere. Is that freedom? Or is freedom something that you need in your heart and in your mind?
Or freedom to spend whatever you have on buying goods or services that somebody else is selling?
Yeah.
Is that the kind of freedom that's promoted there?
Well, freedom is, in Western society, freedom is the freedom to insult each other. Freedom to, they call freedom if you make fun of Muslims or the Prophet, peace be upon him, or the Quran. I say, well, that is possible. It's beautiful because we have freedom of speech. That's not freedom of speech.
What is it?
That is disrespect towards people.
Mhm.
That is trying to hurt people in their deepest feelings.
And basically what happens here is, I'm just extrapolating from what you said. Basically
Yes.
what happens is, man by nature is actually even forced to live in a community, and when you start doing that, you're actually being divisive and therefore destroying the very concept that holds a society together.
Exactly. The cohesion in society is gone. There is a big gap now between non-Muslims and Muslims, and that is created by politicians, by media, by others, by other forces from outside. And it's very hard for us as a community to, of course, we try to live like a good Muslim, and we try to be friendly and patient and try to act as the Prophet lived and acted in his time. But that's not easy.
Yes.
It's not easy.
It sounds like a story that we can even bring home here. But then, ladies and gentlemen, we'll talk about that when we get back from this very short break we're taking. Arnaut and I, we're going to have a little sip of tea and then come back to you. Thank you for your patience.
Ministry of Islamic Affairs presents The Message. Dr. Yasir Ghadi.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. This is your brother in Islam, Yasir Qadi. I'm really excited to tell you that inshallah ta'ala, I'll be coming to your beautiful country of Maldives, 13th of March, Friday, 2015. See all of you over there.
The Tree of Iman. 13th March 2015 at Almas Carnival, 8:45 p.m. The Message.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tolerating our tea break. And once again, thank you for tolerating both of us in your sitting room. Meanwhile, let's get back to what we were talking about. You know, this fear of Islam, this hate of Islam. Sometimes we've been accused of, being the ultimate terrorists, that we violate the basic tenets of human rights,
Yes.
that we abuse our women. As somebody who was brought up by a mother and who's got and my brothers will forgive me for this, but who's got 4 beautiful sisters,
Yes.
three wonderful daughters, I find that a bit difficult to take this thing about Islam and abuse of women. And as for being a terrorist, I don't know. I've seen a lot of it in Lebanon, in Beirut during the Civil War. I was there for 6 years, but more like 5 years. But then, I don't know. I've never been a terrorist in my life, and to get labeled as one is a bit difficult to take, sir. I'm actually terrified of terrorism.
Sure.
But then, and I've seen some of it,
Yes.
But why do
terrible.
we get accused of terrorism,
Yeah.
of human rights abuses, and why are we perceived as being somehow abusive towards, you know, these beautiful partners in life?
Right, right.
Your reaction on that one, sir?
I wish I had a clear answer to this. I don't know. I really don't know. I only think,
But you've been there. You've been on the flip side of the coin.
yes,
So
yes.
please share with us some of our wisdom.
Of course. Well, it's not that
And
was not
experience.
that was not wisdom. That was experience. But then again, that is what you see and hear around you. That is what you read in newspapers. That is what TV documentaries are about. Islam are always negative. They always show terrorists. If you hear about if you see the news broadcasted in Western countries, everything about Islam is wrong and it's dangerous. So
So it's like the cartoon, the man with the bomb on his head.
exactly, and they're making fun of Muslims and they don't take them serious at all. Today, I just found out a few days ago that there is a new law in the Netherlands, and it's not allowed anymore to invite scholars from Arabic countries.
Oh, good heavens! Now this is based on language.
Not based on language, because they are the person, they have the right knowledge about Islam, and they are very popular amongst our Muslim youth. And they come to these conferences, big conferences, thousands of people gathering together there, especially young people. And they are motivated by them, and these scholars are telling them you have to be proud of being a Muslim.
So some, you know, some of the
stay
best
firm,
friends,
and
some
they
of the-
don't want them.
Some of the best friends I've had in life,
Yeah.
they're actually from Lebanon,
Mhm.
and my friends in Lebanon, Mashkour Awi, you know, you mean they would no longer be welcome there?
No, no, no.
No matter how
I
educated
showed
they
the newspaper during my speech yesterday evening, and you had the 3 scholars, very beautiful wise people from Saudi, and they were rejected. Their visa was rejected by the government because they said no, it's only they are terrorists and they are misguiding our youth. We don't want them. We don't want the right Islam. We want the Western Islam. The only speakers that are allowed in the Netherlands are the so-called house Muslims. House Muslims,
Uh-huh.
you know, the Muslims that only preach what the government wants them to preach.
Okay.
The Muslims, it's not up to me, of course, to judge who is a Muslim or not, but people that are pretend to be a Muslim, and they are allowed to go to talk shows, they are allowed to speak to the youth, they are allowed to teach in schools about Islam, but they are teaching not Islam, they are teaching the so-called Western Islam, they are teaching the hidden agenda.
But still, whose agenda?
You tell me? You tell me? I don't know.
Just like I don't know, you don't know.
I don't know.
But there is something in there.
There is something in there. I think there is. This is a hidden. Well, this agenda is not hidden anymore because now, you know, it's in public. It's in the newspapers. It's not allowed to have these scholars in the Netherlands anymore. So it's not a hidden agenda anymore. They even say from what you learn in the mosque is not the real Islam. If you want to know about Islam, come to us. We will tell you what Islam is.
It's that bad.
Because the people who are telling what Islam is, they are not Muslims.
I see.
They are the so-called wise people, Arabists, you know, studied Islam. They're not Muslim. They have studied Islam and they will explain what Islam is. And that's how you create misconceptions.
Basically, these are philosophers and the like who think they have a grasp of what divinity is all about. But
They have no idea.
They have no idea.
They have no idea. But they are seen as the experts, and they are invited to talk shows on national television. They get all the room they need in a newspaper to write columns or articles about Islam.
So has your country come to this point where if you have an Arabic name and if your passport says you're a Muslim,
Oh, yes.
then you are subject to double scrutiny even at
Yes.
security at the airports
Oh,
if
yes.
you get a visa?
If you get a visa, yes, that is going on. There is really, the Muslim minority in the Netherlands is oppressed, definitely. There are no equal chances. If you have a Muslim name or Muslim passport and you want a job, forget it. If you want to get a good education, forget it. Some of them, of course, they manage, but basically Muslims are discriminated. There is ethnic profiling by the police. If you look like a Muslim, that's the wrong word, of course. How do you look like a Muslim? But if you have a beard and you have a niqab, not at the same time, of course.
I like your sense of humor, sir.
They will check your ID maybe 3, 4, 5 times a day. The police, and they will check your background. And if you are a Muslim and you go to the mosque and you pray 5 times a day and read the Quran, and you're practicing Islam, basically, that's what I mean. At high school, they will report it to the police and they will say, he's radicalizing, he's a danger, he's becoming a terrorist. So if young people starting to practice Islam, something what I encourage to do, of course, everybody should practice Islam, that is considered a threat. And then they say they are getting
So basically,
radicalized.
what would happen to you if you're a practicing Muslim, and if you go there,
Yes.
would be you'll feel the invisible eyes on you
Yes.
from all different directions.
Yes, not
The
only
blood pressure
invisible
will
eyes.
go up, and you feel so threatened 24/7
Yes.
that eventually you will consider leaving.
That's what they probably also want. It's not going to happen. Again, the Muslim population is growing in the Netherlands.
And
they
the
will not leave.
resilience.
And I will, yes, and I will go again. I've done it before. I will do it here as well in your program. We have to resist to this oppression. We have to organize ourselves. Don't accept this oppression.
Okay.
We have to fight this injustice. We have to fight this injustice.
But isn't that somehow that word "fighting" there? Can't that be misconstrued not to read?
I'm not talking about violence. I mean
There you
fighting
go.
this, fighting in getting the right knowledge, showing people what Islam is, explaining people what Islam is, start debates, building bridges, start dialogue sessions. It's basically it's dawah.
And as somebody who was in politics, as somebody who was a counselor,
Yes.
as somebody who was a prominent member of a political party, which had a lot of support,
It's in the polls today. It's the biggest party.
you wearing well-fitting shoes there, sir,
Yes.
and you would continue to do that.
Yes.
Exactly. And are you also doing it internationally?
We are, yes, it's the European Dawah Foundation, my foundation.
Oh, okay.
We started in the Netherlands, and our objective is to make sure that we have Islamic schools, high schools, because we don't have them. We try to organize conferences. We try to invite scholars, because that's difficult today. We're also trying to organize meetings between Muslims and non-Muslims. But we are focusing on the youth, basically, the young generation, because the older generation, their mind is so much polluted. I don't invest
Set in their
them anymore.
ways and frozen in position.
Frozen in position, exactly. But the young generation, non-Muslims, they are open-minded. The young people, the 13, 14, 15-year-old people in the Netherlands, they are curious about Islam. They want to know about Islam. And we have to focus on them. We have to invest in them because they are the future.
And you know what, sir? I've visited your country, as I said before.
Yes.
And I still want to believe somewhere in there that the basic Dutch guy, the young person out there,
Yes.
He's a very open-minded and willing to learn kind of person, that
If they're young, yes.
the Dutch thing,
If they're young.
basically, and therefore you still have a lot of hope. And in this country also, our young people are also like that.
Yes.
Active, dynamic, very tech-savvy,
Yes.
And they want to always get ahead in life, curious, yes, absolutely.
Yes.
And do you think something like that will also work in this country? That we mount, a very well-planned, PR activity, probably with an NGO, to promote what is good about our faith,
Yes.
to ourselves, our young people, and to the rest of the world?
Definitely, it's very important.
So, young people out there, again, sorry for me barging in like this, with this remark, but if you have the drive to spread a good message, to be at peace with yourself, feel free to talk to your friends.
Yes.
Go out there, reach out. Let's be part of this. Thank you for your time. Meanwhile, Arnoud, tell me, there is something else that's happening also, which I feel is happening. Probably in our part of the world, but more so in the West, which is that there seems to be an idea that atheism,
Yes.
a complete lack of belief that there's no divine creator or nothing, we're just an accident of biology or nature, as you call it. I have a feeling that a belief in that kind of stuff, which belief, that word is probably not the right word to use there, but short of anything else, to do that is fashionable somehow.
It is.
Why would that be?
Again, a good question.
Difficult to answer.
Difficult to answer. But I can only speak from my own experience.
Please.
I can only speak from my own experience.
Yes, sir.
Atheism, I think it's okay, it sounds like I have total freedom, I can do whatever I want. But it's an empty life. If you are not guided, if you have no religion, if you have no faith in the Creator, your life must be very empty. Very empty. Everything goes about materialistic things. And I'm sure you miss something. You can pretend that you're happy and that you're free and that you can do whatever you like. I don't believe it. I was like that in the past.
Oh, you were?
Yeah, I was raised as Catholic, but I had a certain period that I was rejecting everything that it comes with the religion, and oh, no, I don't believe in anything.
So you actually did try atheism?
I tried to, but it's because it was, it was something that it was fashionable. It's fashionable among a lot of people still. And if I asked, for example, I spoke to someone and he said, "I'm an unbeliever. Okay. I'm an atheist." I said, "Okay." But he said, but I don't believe in God or something, but there is something like energy, or there is more than what you can see.
Okay.
There's something spiritual, but I'm an atheist. I said, okay, if you call that more than that you can see, and this positive energy, if you call that God or Allah.
Do you know what I call that?
Are you a believer? Are you still an atheist? And then they stop. They have no answer.
You know what I call that energy in my language?
Please.
Which is, he's reaching out to you.
Exactly.
Don't you think so?
And they say, well, I believe in something. Oh, I don't believe in God. I don't believe in God. I say, how do you call it? I don't know. Call it God. Then you're a believer.
Exactly.
And then they are getting angry and they walk away and they say, no, I don't want to talk to you anymore.
Therefore, all this stuff about hating Islam or fearing Islam, or even fearing God for that matter, in a negative way, it really doesn't help.
No.
But you know what else has happened? As usual, on my program, we've just had the clock running out on us. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much, for having both of us in your sitting room this evening. And I hope to be back with probably another guest on another episode of this program. Until then, what I would like to wish you, I think from both of us, would be just be happy, relax. Sometimes think about yourself, think about where you are, think about who we are, and sometimes be willing to accept that gift that comes from our Creator. Just be willing to open our minds, your minds, to that possibility of Him reaching out. And God bless you, ladies and gentlemen. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.